Right, so welcome back to Venture 82 Tech and Games. So the last video I did, I explained to you why this cartridge wouldn't work in my console I've got here in front of me. This one. And we went in and we explained about PAL 1 or 2 or A and B as some people call it, and how that came to be. And I promised you that the next video I did would be showing you how you can solve that problem. I also said I'd show you how to clean up the cartridges, make them all clean. Check that the springs on the loading tray have still got the right amount of push in them, and also clean up the contact pins inside for the cartridges, inside the machine and the actual slot itself and what have you. So that's what we're going to do. Right, so I took the screws out beforehand. So there's 6 screws, 1 in each corner and then 2 in the middle to get the lid off. Like that, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did this ahead of time because this is very heavy with the screws. So you have to get this, and you have to take this protective tray off. So there's 2 there, 2 at the back, 3 on the other side, and then this will then lift off. And then you get to this section, you have 2 screws at the front, you have 2 brass screws at the back, 2 silver screws in front of those. So do make sure that the silver screws go in the front when you put them back, because, let me just show you, that's when the brass screws I took out. And then the silver ones, which sit in front, are quite a bit longer because they go through the casing and through to the underneath. So you can see, if you get them the wrong way round, you could end up damaging the plastic. So just bear that in mind. And then this, if you lift up the front and then gently slide it forward, give it a little bit of a wiggle, and that will come apart. And then I'll put that down there for a moment, and then this is what you're left with. So you don't need to dismantle this anymore. You can, if you want to take 23 million screws out of your NES. I don't, and for what we're doing, it's not necessary. So I had a look at the circuit board before when I redid the screws, and all seems okay with that. It seems to be actually surprisingly clean in here, to be honest. But what I will point out to you now is on the circuit board first of all. So I'm going to, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to point with my screwdriver. So to bypass the NTSC and PAL region locking, so that you can play your French games in the UK console and what have you, so you need to solder up some points. So I've highlighted the points in brown. So this section here, we're going to be soldering up that to this pin here, and we'll be soldering, this is the actual bottom of the region lock chip, and we're going to be soldering this pin here to this pin here. So if you want to mark that on yours and pause it at this point, feel free. I've highlighted them on purpose to make it easier for you guys to mark it if you want to do this yourself, but that's the points we're going to be soldering up. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at this section here, which is your slot that we put the games in, and we're just going to give the pins, contacts, a bit of a clean first of all. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm going for isopropyl alcohol and a cotton wool bud. If you're going to use cotton wool buds, because cotton wool buds have a bad rep for cleaning electronics, there's certain instances where they're okay if you're gentle with them. There's certain instances where they don't work. So for instance, don't clean an actual circuit board with these, because the metal bits that stick up through the solder, the pins from the different components, will catch this and it will shred the cotton wool to bits. It don't work. I had to have done it on occasion. In fact, I did it just now with this actually to get some dirt off, and I accidentally caught one of the pins because it was actually a smooth section I was cleaning, and I had to use some tweezers to pull all the little bits of cotton wool off because I'm a nutter. But yeah, you can use isopropyl alcohol or you can use contact cleaner. the problem with this one is I've bought this one and it's a spray bottle, which isn't much help. So I found the best solution is to spray some like that into the cap, and then I can dip this in as I want to, rather than spray isopropyl alcohol on literally everything. But just gently wipe across here like that with the isopropyl alcohol, and just make sure that that's, oh, see, they're pretty clean. You can see even that's kind of shredding it, so you have to be really light. But and then dry it off as well, just to make sure. There's a couple of people who swear that you can actually clean this with Brasso. I'm not sure I'd try that, but if you want to have a bash at it, let me know if it worked for you. That'd be interesting to know. Right, so before we go any further, I just want to show you how this works. So normally, obviously, you'd have the deck in, but your cartridge slots on like that, right? And then it pushes down, and then that's how it sits whilst you're playing your game. So this is entirely reliant on, well, this whole system is the contact system is reliant on two main things. One is that it's clean, and two is that your tray, which we took off before, the springs go far enough down to allow this to sit in the appropriate place. So that's why we're going to check the tray springs afterwards. I just thought I'd show you that beforehand. But first, we should solder on our wires. So I've pre-cut the wires. So I've got slightly longer one there for one of them, and then really, really tiny one there. So I'm trying to keep this neat for the other sections. That's what we're going to do first. And I'll use the original solder and I'll put some clean solder on afterwards. So for people who are turning around going, oh, he's not using clean solder, it's fine. I'm going to put some fresh solder on after. And just for the sake of simplicity and having it held in place, I'm going to use the solder that's there first. So we want to, actually, I am being naughty with one thing. I should be tinning this, and I'm not. There we go, I've tinned it now. Now you can't tell me off. Right, so I'm going to heat up this and then solder that onto there. It might take a bit of heat because this is older type solder, so it needs slightly more heat than the others. Now, before anybody comments in the thing about how bad my soldering technique is, I already know, so please don't tell me what I already know. And then we'll put this one over here. Now this one's going to be the interesting one because I've got to make sure I don't. What I might do with this one actually is put a bit on here, put a bit on the wire already. So yeah, right, so that one was a bit of a pig. I've done the best I can with it because I haven't got the finest tipped soldering iron in the world, and you saw my hands are horrendous these days. They're not as steady as they used to be. But there's no contact between any contacts, it shouldn't be, so we're all good with that. We can start now piecing this back together, but this is the other thing to check whilst you've got it off. So what we'll do first is we slide this back on like that, and then bring that back up. So that's how your cartridge normally goes in. This is what I explained before, and then goes in like that, and then you press that down. So this little springy bit here, this is the only thing that's make sure that that is making contact. You can see there's a bit of play in there. There normally is a little bit anyway, but sometimes you may need to adjust the pins. On this occasion it seems to be not too bad, so we should be okay. They've been cleaned anyway. We're going to go through we're going to clean some of these because that one I've cleaned previously. These two I actually got a reasonably new, and I don't know how clean the contacts are, but they're kind of iffy. So I'm going to give those a clean. Pardon me. And then we'll sort that. We'll test out the mod we've done and see if the French one will work for us. But first, let me get this back together, and then we'll go from there. Right, so something slightly easier to do than soldering wires, if you've got hands that aren't steady anymore. This thing of these, we do need a special screwdriver end, 'cause it's got these little like kind of star-shaped screws in them. I forget what they're called. But if you look on the side of it there, you can see it's got the name of it there. So if you want to hook one up, that's fine. The one I've got is actually an iFixit kit that has like tweezers and all sorts in it as well. So if you go on the iFixit website, then you get the little kit thing. It's got all these different bits in it, like that. It's quite handy actually, little thing. So you can see they're tiny little screws. Absolutely minuscule. But well, not minuscule, you get smaller. Oh, those stupid little tiny ones you get in glasses, hold the glass arms on, they're insane. Fix those a few times as well. Right, so they seem to vary. Some of them have 3 screws. I have seen a couple, although not many, that just have the 1 screw in the middle. But yeah, so get that one out too. What's nice about this one, by the way, if you get the iFixit one, is that it's magnetic, so you don't lose the screws, and then that just comes off. So this is the game. So you can see this one has a game save feature in it. That's why it's got a battery, because the battery powers the memory inside the chip when you're not using it. As it happens, the memory's playing up on this one, so I wonder if it's because it needs a new battery. It's similar to the Game Boy games. The Game Boy cartridges that save your game, they have a little battery on them as well. Alright, so just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on the bud. And we'll just give these a light wipe. See if we can get any dirt off of these, if they're dirty at all. You have to make sure you get both sides. You can hear it squeaking. So we'll do that one, and then we'll do the dry side and dry them off. This one does actually look quite clean anyway, but we'll keep going. Now my NES was playing up a little bit before we did the mod, so it was playing some games, not others. I put that down to them just being dirty because they were new games, I'd not had them before. And some of these games go like decades without being played, depending on who the previous owner was. So we'll see about that. Otherwise, I might end up doing what I mentioned to you guys before and adjusting the pins or something. But the springs seem to be okay because we checked those. Right, so that's one. And then once you've cleaned it, you can see, just make sure there's no little like obvious black marks or anything. I mean, that's really quite shiny, quite clean. As is that side. But yeah, so we'll put this back in that way around because that's the way it came out. Like that. And screw this one back up. And then I've got another one to clean, and that French one as well. And then we'll pop up upstairs, plug the console back up, see how our mod's gone, and see if it actually will play the French one. But yeah, that's how you clean these, nice and simple. Right, so I'll clean the other two games. I'm just cleaning the French one. This one though, these ones, it's hard to show you now because they're back together, but their contacts are still quite nice, very brassy. This one, you can see they're quite worn, especially on this side. So whether this one works in the first place or not will be interesting to find out, because some of those contacts are questionable at best. You can see the amount of dirt I got off of the thing, but whether that will make any difference or not, I'm not sure when they're that worn. Only one way to find out though, isn't there? Right, so computer's connected up. The only thing left to do is test these games. There is one thing I need to mention, however. I've just spent an hour faffing about with it because when I first plugged it in, it wouldn't turn on. Turns out I made a slight mistake, which you probably saw that I mentioned at the beginning of the video in text underneath. And what I did is when I connected up one of the wires, I put it one contact up from where it's supposed to be, but I've moved that and now it works. So you'll know what I'll do, if I haven't already done it already, is I'll put up just a still of the circuit board which you were being shown at the beginning of the video, and I'll just draw lines on it to show you which one goes to which one, because yeah, I highlighted one of them wrong, my bad. However, that said, wire's been moved, now works. So let's have a look. So these wouldn't work before. You got the ominous grey screen that you always get when the cartridge is dirty. So let's have a look. So we've got, well, Maniac Mansion seems to be working. Lucasfilm. See, this one, it's all good, as you can see. Right, so that's all cool. So that's Maniac Mansion's all good. Let's see about the Rescue Mission one. This is actually one of my favourite NES games. This particular cartridge seems to be hit and miss, because if you look, it's grainy right now. If I reset it, see, it's grainy again. So I think this cartridge is a bit worn, because depending on how you do it, see, it's doing it again. If I turn it off, take it out, slot it back in, it changes. So sometimes this one goes in, it's perfect. Other times it goes in and it's grainy. So I think this cartridge itself, either know it needs a bit more cleaning, or might well be the case that I just need to get a new one of this particular game. But it does work nonetheless. So, right, the French one on the other hand, which is this one. This one's interesting because, as you've seen these work, this one, when you put this in, it technically works in the sense that it gives you a grey screen when the computer wants to work. So we'll reset it. Right, so this is kind of what you get. You get this, like no signal. This machine, I'm sure, needs replacement contacts. It only happens when you're finished filming. So I thought to myself, well, I'll just show Erica exactly what the issue is, because it was being an arse before. So I showed her, I put this in, I go, see, now I'm not filming, it works, and it did. And I put that one in, and I went, see, now it's not filming, it works. Took a couple of resets, because this game always does, And it worked. And I goes, but the problem with the French one is, it works. So, to answer the question, does the mod work? Yes. Yes, the mod does work.
Does the Nintendo want to work all the time? No.
Exactly. Does the NES and console want to use your games all the time? Not so much. But yeah, it works. Look, I'll show you.
Let's have a quick level.
I haven't played Mario 2 in about 16 years. The last time I played it was when I did a re-release of it on the Wii. Right, so let's have a look. Down we go. Now this was the first appearance as well of Shy Guy. Shy Guy had not been seen before. Another little fact about this specific game, actually, while I'm playing it quickly for you as well, is that this isn't the actual Mario 2. This was a remake. It's a well-known fact these days, I think, but somebody might not know. That the original Mario 2 is what we know over here as Super Mario Lost Levels. This was a reskin of a completely different game that was in Japan at the time, because they felt that Super Mario 2, as it was in Japan, which we now know as Lost Levels, would be too hard for the Western world. So they gave us this, which is why it doesn't look the same as any other Mario you'll ever see, but it works. That's Mario 2. I'm going to go and have a lie down because my NES is trying to murder my sanity. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.